It's strange how the people you love the most can be the ones who cut you the deepest. I never thought my story would begin with betrayal, but it did, and not the kind you walk away from easily. I was 26, at a point in my life where I thought things were finally steady. I had a girlfriend I adored, a small circle of friends I trusted like family, and a routine that felt safe. To me, that was enough. I wasn't chasing big dreams or trying to prove anything to anyone. I just wanted love that felt real, people I could rely on, and nights where laughter filled the air more than silence. One of those people I relied on most was my closest friend. We'd known each other for years, survived ups and downs, and I never questioned where I stood with him. To me, he was like a brother. And my girlfriend, well, she was the one I thought would become my wife someday. I'd picture it sometimes, a small wedding, our families gathered, her smile lighting up the room. It was a simple vision, but it was mine. But you know how life has this cruel way of shattering the pictures you frame in your heart? That's exactly what happened. And it didn't happen slowly. It came crashing down in one single night. I remember that night like it's branded into my skin. My phone buzzed with a message I almost ignored, but something about it made me stop. It wasn't from my girlfriend, not from my friend. It was from someone else, someone who had nothing to gain by telling me what they did. The message was short, almost cruel in how plain it was. They're not who you think they are. Check for yourself. At first, I thought it was some kind of sick joke, but the pit in my stomach wouldn't let me rest. So, I followed the trail, and what I found, it broke something in me I didn't think could ever be fixed. My girlfriend. My best friend. Together. Behind my back. There's no easy way to explain what that feels like unless you've lived it. It's not just anger. It's not just heartbreak. It's like your chest caves in and suddenly you don't recognize your own world anymore. Every laugh you shared with them feels fake in hindsight. Every memory turns sour. And the worst part? They didn't even seem sorry. They acted like it just happened, like it was something small, a mistake I should somehow understand. But betrayal doesn't come wrapped in excuses, it just burns. That night, I walked away from both of them. No screaming, no fighting, just silence. And silence, I've learned, can be heavier than any words. But here's the thing. Sometimes life gives you a twist you don't see coming. In the ashes of betrayal, I met someone I never thought would matter to me. Someone close to him. Someone who should have been just another reminder of the pain. His sister. And that's where everything changed. Before the betrayal tore everything apart, life actually felt normal. Almost too normal. Her name was Emily. She was the kind of woman who made every room feel a little warmer the moment she walked in. Not in a loud way. She wasn't the center of attention type, but she had this quiet presence, this smile that made you believe you were safe with her. We'd been together for almost 2 years, and in my mind, she wasn't just my girlfriend, she was my future. We talked about moving in together, about saving up for a small place just outside the city. She wanted a garden, I wanted a dog. We laughed about how we'd make it work, and it felt like all the pieces of life were lining up. Then there was Ryan, my best friend since high school. He was the guy who always had my back, the one I trusted with everything. We'd been through heartbreaks, fights, broke nights, and stupid adventures that could have gotten us arrested. If there was one person in the world I'd bet my life on, it was him. I brought him into every part of my life, even into my relationship. He and Emily got along. Too well, I'd later realize, but back then, I saw it as a good thing. I thought, perfect. The two people I love most actually like each other. The three of us spent a lot of time together. Movie nights, road trips, late-night food runs. It felt natural, until it didn't. Looking back, there were signs. The way she laughed a little harder at his jokes. The way he looked at her when he thought I wasn't paying attention. But love makes you blind. And trust? Trust makes you stupid. I brushed it off every time, telling myself I was imagining things. Why wouldn't I? Ryan was my brother, and Emily was the girl I was ready to marry. I didn't realize how fragile that foundation was. The night everything collapsed, I kept replaying all those little moments in my head, wondering how I missed it. How long had it been going on? Did everyone else see it before I did? That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt because of what they did. It hurts because you feel like a fool for not seeing it sooner. After I walked away, there was this emptiness, like someone had pulled the floor out from under me. I cut ties with both of them. Deleted numbers, blocked accounts, avoided every place we used to hang out. But even then, their shadows followed me. You don't erase people that easily. And then came the part one never expected. Because Ryan had a sister, Sarah. I'd seen her around over the years, but she was always just his sister. Younger, quieter, always keeping her distance from our chaos. We'd never really spoken beyond polite hellos. She was the opposite of him in every way, soft where he was loud, thoughtful where he was reckless. And somehow, after everything, she became the thread pulling me out of the darkness. But falling for her wasn't simple. It wasn't just about healing. It was about stepping into something forbidden. Because how do you love the sister of the man who broke you? And what would happen if he found out? At first, Sarah was just there. A quiet presence in the middle of the storm I was trying to escape. We bumped into each other unexpectedly, at a grocery store, of all places. I remember the awkward smile she gave me, like she already knew the weight I was carrying but didn't want to add to it. I tried to brush it off, but she stopped me before I walked away. "I'm sorry," she said softly. Just those two words, but they hit harder than anything Emily or Ryan ever tried to explain. Maybe it was because she wasn't making excuses. She wasn't defending anyone. She just acknowledged the pain. And in that moment, something cracked inside me. For the first time since everything fell apart, I felt seen. We started talking, little by little. Texts that turned into late-night calls. Coffee that turned into walks in the park. I didn't realize how much I needed someone to just listen, to let me spill everything without judgment. And Sarah did exactly that. She wasn't trying to fix me. She was just there. But the more time we spent together, the more complicated it became. I couldn't ignore the way my chest tightened when she laughed, or the way her eyes seemed to hold me in place when I looked too long. It scared me, because this wasn't supposed to happen. She was his sister, the sister of the man who shattered me. And yet, I couldn't stay away. Every time I thought about pulling back, about putting distance between us, she'd say something that made me feel alive again. She reminded me that not everything connected to Ryan had to be poisoned. That maybe, just maybe, love could exist in a place it shouldn't. But what if it was wrong? What if I was just using her to fill the emptiness? Worse, what if Ryan found out? The thought of his reaction was enough to send chills down my spine. Still, the pull was stronger than the fear. I told myself I'd keep it casual, just friendship. But late one night, when it was just us, silence hanging heavy in the air, she looked at me in a way that left no room for pretending anymore. And before I could stop myself, I leaned in. That's when the door behind us suddenly creaked open. The door swung wide, and for a heartbeat, the world froze. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would echo through the empty room. Sarah and I both turned, and in the dim light of the hallway, I saw him, Ryan. His face was unreadable, a mask I couldn't decipher. My stomach dropped. I didn't expect anyone to be here. I stammered, trying to sound casual. He didn't move. He didn't speak. Just stood there, like a shadow. And for a second, I wondered if I had imagined the tension that had been building all along. Then I realized I hadn't. The silence was heavier than any words. Sarah took a step back, instinctively, and I could see the unease in her eyes. I tried to explain, but what words could fix this? There were none. Not now. That night changed something. Not between Sarah and me. Our bond had only deepened, but it made me realize the stakes were higher than I'd allowed myself to see. Every text, every laugh, every moment we shared now felt like walking on a wire stretched over a chasm. One misstep, and everything could fall apart. In the days that followed, Ryan's presence loomed like a storm cloud. He didn't speak of what he had seen, but I could feel it. Every glance, every half-smile from him was loaded, and I found myself second-guessing everything. Even Sarah seemed different, more guarded, more aware that each heartbeat we shared carried weight. I kept thinking back to Emily, to the betrayal that started all this. I told myself that wasn't love anymore, that it had been replaced by something new, something real. And yet, guilt gnawed at me. Could I ever fully embrace something so forbidden? Could I allow myself to be happy while knowing the man who had been like a brother might despise me for it? Then came the night of the dinner at Ryan's apartment. He invited me, and I felt a mix of dread and curiosity that twisted in my chest. Sarah was there too, seated across from me, her hand brushing mine subtly under the table. For a moment, the world outside disappeared. I wanted to believe we could exist in this fragile bubble. But Ryan was watching. The way he held his fork, the small tilt of his head, the way his eyes flickered between us. It was like he was measuring our guilt. weighing our intentions. Every laugh felt forced. Every smile felt dangerous. And just as I thought I might make it through the night without confrontation, he spoke. His voice was calm, almost too calm, and it sent a chill down my spine. "I think it's time we had an honest conversation," he said. The words hung in the air like a guillotine waiting to fall. I looked at Sarah, and she looked at me. And in that frozen moment, I knew, whatever came next, nothing would ever be the same. Ryan's calm tone cut deeper than I expected. He leaned back, fingers tapping the table, and for a second I thought he might actually stay composed. "I've known about you and Sarah for weeks," he said, eyes locked on mine. My stomach sank, but before I could respond, he added something that made my head spin. "But that's not why I called you tonight." I blinked. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope, sliding it across the table toward me. "You think Emily betrayed you alone," he said, voice low, almost dangerous. "But she wasn't acting on her own. She was working with someone else, someone you trust even more than her." I froze. My heart raced. My mind screamed through possibilities. Ryan leaned forward, the shadow from the dim light making his face harder, colder. "You have no idea how deep this goes. And by the time you realize it, it might be too late. For both of you." The envelope sat there like a ticking bomb, and I knew with terrifying certainty that opening it would change everything. Sarah reached for my hand, her eyes wide with fear. But I hesitated, staring at the envelope, knowing that whatever was inside could destroy more than just my heart. I picked up the envelope with trembling hands, the paper crinkling under my fingers. My pulse thundered in my ears as I tore it open, expecting betrayal, lies, maybe even revenge. What I saw made my stomach drop, my vision blur. Inside were photographs, Emily and Ryan. Not just together, but planning something, whispering in ways that made my blood run cold. And then, on the last page, a note in Emily's handwriting. "He has to know the truth. We can't hide it any longer." My head spun. I realized Ryan hadn't just been observing us. He had orchestrated a test. Every look, every subtle challenge, every tense moment had been calculated to see if I was worthy of Sarah. Sarah's hand squeezed mine, grounding me. Her eyes, filled with worry and hope, begged me to trust her, trust us. And in that instant, I understood. The betrayal that had started all this had been a lie layered over an even bigger truth. I turned to Ryan. His expression softened just slightly, though his eyes remained sharp. I wanted to make sure she chose someone real, someone who could protect her heart. It hit me. The danger, the fear, even the guilt, it was all part of a path leading me here, to Sarah. To the person who had quietly loved me all along without demanding anything in return. I looked at Sarah, and without hesitation, I pulled her close. The weight of months of pain, confusion, and betrayal seemed to melt in that embrace. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt free. But just as relief washed over me, Ryan's phone buzzed on the table. He glanced at it, and a shadow crossed his face. "She's back," he muttered under his breath. My heart stopped. I realized that the story was far from over. Whatever had started this storm, it wasn't finished yet. The buzz of Ryan's phone hung in the air like a warning, but I didn't look. Not yet. I held Sarah tighter, letting her warmth remind me that some things in life were real, unshakable, and worth fighting for. Months of heartbreak, betrayal, and doubt had led me here, and for the first time, it felt like I could breathe again. Over the next few days, everything shifted. Ryan explained what had really happened with Emily. It wasn't simple revenge or cruelty. It was a tangled web of mistakes and selfish choices. But one thing became clear. He never wanted to see her hurt anyone else, especially not me or Sarah. The photos in the envelope weren't meant to shame me. They were meant to show the truth, to separate lies from loyalty. Sarah and I spent hours talking, really talking, about the past, about the fear that had haunted us, and about the fragile, beautiful connection we'd discovered in the middle of all that chaos. She confessed that she had quietly loved me for years, but had held back, unsure if I could ever see her as more than Ryan's little sister. Now, there was no doubt. Our hearts had found each other in the most unlikely way. Ryan and I rebuilt our friendship slowly, carefully. There was tension at first, unspoken words hanging between us, but eventually, trust began to return. I realized that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting. It was about understanding the people you care about, even when they hurt you. As for Emily, she disappeared from our lives entirely. It was a relief, a reminder that some chapters need to close so the next one can truly begin. Sarah and I started to plan a future together, small moments first, weekend walks, late-night talks, quiet dinners. There was no rush, no expectation, just the comfort of knowing that we had each other. Every time I looked at her, I remembered how easily love can arrive when you least expect it, even from the person you never thought you'd see in that light. And yet, sometimes, in the quiet moments, Ryan's warning echoed in my mind. She's back. Whoever she was, whatever danger might still linger, it reminded me that life doesn't always give clean endings. But maybe that's the point. Love, trust, betrayal, they're messy, unpredictable, and sometimes terrifying. But if you hold on to the people who truly matter, you survive the storms, and you discover a love stronger than the hurt that came before. I glanced at Sarah one evening as we sat on the porch, hands intertwined, the sun setting behind us. I realized that, for the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid. I had lost, I had been broken, and yet here I was, whole again, with someone who made the past worth surviving. And no matter what storms might come next, I knew we would face them together. The past had tried to define me, betray me, and even crush me. But in the end, it only led me to the love I didn't know I deserved. And maybe, that's the cruel, beautiful twist of life. Sometimes the heartbreak you fear the most is exactly what guides you to the happiness you never imagined. The doorbell rang. My heart skipped. Not from fear this time, but from anticipation. Because now, for the first time, I was ready for whatever came next.